I'm Dr. Thomas McCluskey, a postdoctoral researcher in the graduate school. Death by PowerPoint is a common pitfall that speakers need to avoid in order to give successful presentations. Ineffective visuals can distract from your presentation, limiting the effect of your communication. This workshop will explore strategies for crafting an appropriate visual presentation for a given audience to make sure your voice is heard. First, before you think about the what of your visuals, think about the why. Why are you including them, and do you really need them? Often we plan a presentation based on something written, but a paper and a presentation are very different rhetorical situations. While the goal of a research paper is to provide a comprehensive account of your scholarship, the goal of a research talk is instead to draw attention to the news and so what arguments your research makes. Therefore, using a presentation to convey all of your research by orally and visually replicating your paper is misaligned with the purpose of a presentation and can limit the impact of your talk. University of New South Wales professor John Sweller explains that showing audiences the same words that are being spoken reduces rather than increases audience comprehension. In a 2017 Harvard University study, PowerPoint was rated by online audiences as no better than verbal presentations with no visual aids. In other words, a presentation is not simply a replacement for having read a paper on the same scholarship. Your visuals and your verbal presentation should work together to communicate the significance of your work and animate your research for your audience. When considering the why of your presentation, also think about the who of your audience. Consider what your audience already knows and expects from visual presentations when assembling your PowerPoint visuals to best appeal to your specific audience in context. Some disciplines might find it entirely appropriate to have figures and results on PowerPoint slides, while other fields might expect to have long sentences discussing the text you're examining with few images at all. Be aware of these expectations and adapt to the needs of those audiences accordingly. With these rhetorical situations in mind, a few key strategies can make your presentation succeed. A general guideline: images and text should work in tandem, each doing what they do best to reinforce one another. First, choose the text you will include on a slide carefully. Too much text can turn your audience into readers instead of listeners, and they will stop paying attention to your talk. So, choose what text to include strategically, focusing on what you might want your audience to remember from that slide. This will help draw attention to your main ideas and most significant arguments. One approach to strategically including text is to just have one main idea conveyed in a single readable sentence per slide. This sentence can help your audience focus without being distracted. Another strategy for strategically using text is to try the 6x6 rule. No more than 6 lines per slide with 6 words per line in large, easy-to-read 30-point font. Using PowerPoint's Appear function can make this even more engaging since you can control what informational bullet points your audience sees in the order you want to discuss them. Second, remember the value of images on slides. When coupled with engaging images, your audience will have no trouble following your verbal presentation while also considering its visual elements. Even having a few slides with only images and no text whatsoever can help engage and excite your audience to show them different aspects of your research rather than simply talking about it. Some combination of these approaches, the 6x6 rule, a single main idea, and a frequent use of engaging images, can work well. Speakers shouldn't feel obligated to pick only one strategy when the content on different slides demands different approaches. Third, once you have prepared an engaging visual aid, remember to practice successful delivery strategies. A common problem when presenting with PowerPoint is to turn and face the screen as you're presenting information. When facing your slides, you're also turning your back on your audience and minimizing verbal and nonverbal engagement. Instead, practice your presentation enough that you'll be able to gesture to your slides as needed without turning to face them. This can be challenging, so make sure practice is well in hand in advance. Similarly, presenting your PowerPoint in a visual environment over Zoom or Skype can present unique challenges. In a virtual setting, the audience can just look at your slides and not really attend to you as the speaker at all. So finding ways to engage your audience is even more important. Be sure to practice incorporating conversational gestures that complement your slides and incorporate strategic pauses and saying key words and phrases louder to keep your audience engaged. Record your speech and watch it without sound to see how you're appearing to your audience. This can help diagnose and address potential delivery issues before your presentation. An effective visual can enhance from your presentation, and it can help graduate students to persuasively communicate their research. During this workshop, we explored strategies for how to craft an appropriate visual presentation for a given audience to make sure your voice is heard.